This is the second video now about the winch. The first one was me unboxing the winch. Now I'm getting ready to fit the winch. As you can see, I've got the whole front off the Polaris. Yeah, I just took the front panel off. It just gives me a much easier access. I am hand holding this. All the parts I've taken off are in the back. Sorry about the lighting, and I'm handheld on the camera. There's the front panel, there's the bonnet. Grill's down there somewhere, but it's all in there. All off, just to give me the access. We've got a box of nuts and bolts there that have come off the Polaris. The plastic plugs and all the bolts, the T25s out the front, there's 6 of them. 4 little plastic plugs. So it's all in little bits. And as per usual, there's no way I'm buying Polaris's mounting bracket to mount my winch. So propped up against the front of the buggy there is some 3mm thick, 30mm wide flat stock, which I've already chopped 2 pieces off, and that was just to make, if I can find the template, which will be on my bench somewhere, there it is. That's my template for making what would be the parts you're going to get off Polaris, and there's 2 of them like that. Theirs are slightly different, but I've sort of copied the idea. And that is 300mm long. And that was just to get the length. Let's move the steel. I'll show you down here. I'm using the original Polaris mounting points that Polaris want you to use. You'd use them with the Polaris standard kit. And that's 2 pieces of the 30mm flat stock bolted to the correct bolts, which is them 2 there, using M10 marine grade stainless steel bolts and washers and nylock nuts underneath. I'll show you some pictures. That's where they mount to, they go underneath. As you can see, I've bolted them on with I've bolted the 30mm plate to the underneath where it needs to go, and we've used nylocks. Haven't painted it yet, I've still got more holes to place into the plates for mounting the winch bracket to. But they go from standard Polaris mounting points at the back, and they go to the front here. Again, using the correct mounting points. And all I've done is put a 90-degree bend on the ends, put them up against the chassis, marked the holes and drilled them. And again, I've used M10 stainless steel marine grade and washers and nylock. And the only problem is you can't see them from the back, but they're all nylocked up. That's cost me about £10 in materials, nuts and bolts, to get this far. my next project is, on the floor there is the plate that came with my winch. For your past comments, I am not using all of it. I am going to take off the front piece. The angle piece that sticks up there, I'm actually going to chop it off. And I'm going to use that mounting point, that mounting point, that mounting point and that mounting point to bolt that plate to the two cross members I've just mounted. My winch then mounts on the 4 bolts in the middle, less that piece which I've now got to chop it off, but I can't use it in that orientation. I have to put it on upside down because the winch mounts flush on the plate, and they've already given me countersunk holes on the back face where I can bury my M8 countersunk Allen bolts against stainless steel marine grade to bolt that onto the plates I've just placed into the buggy. Say, winch then bolts on top of it. Once I've chopped that, mounted that, I'll show you how I carry on mounting the winch and installing all the electrical wiring. But for now, that's where I'm up to, and that's why she's in the sorry looking state she's in. Well, it won't take long. It's a project for the next couple of evenings. When I get home from work of a night, about 10:30 of an evening. Yeah, I work till about 10:30. I'm in work at 9 o'clock in the morning, so everything tends to get done of an evening. So there's another quick view of what's going in. In fact, I'm just going to stick the plate on and I'll show you where it goes. I'm just going to put the camera down. I've just quickly placed the mounting plate. That is where that plate, when I chop the front piece off, is going to mount. Then I can put my winch on the front. View from them above. That's where she's going. Haven't marked any of the holes yet. I'm not going to do that until I've chopped the front face off. And as I say, winch will get mounted on top of that. The idea of this is that ties the two halves together even tighter, makes it even stronger. It's going to be a proper good winch mount. And then I'm going to have to go out and try it once I've got it all on. I have to try it, go out and get stuck. So that's just a little update on where we're up to with the winch. A little update where I leave off from last night. I was telling you I needed to modify this plate. Well, I've done the modification today. That's what I wanted to take off it, because that's the plate that the winch bolts to, and then two there, and that one bolt it to the cross members I've put into the chassis. I also wanted to do a little modification to the fair lead. I wanted to make it look prettier, but that's by the by. That was my main mod. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to stick that on the plates that I made, mark the 4 holes, take the plates off, drill them. I'm going to bolt that into place. Well, sat on the floor here now, I've got the 2 cross members. That one on that one. As you can see, everything's drilled. That goes to the front of the chassis, that one goes to the back. Then the winch plate is bolted to the top side, so it forms that. What I'm now going to do, I'm going to bolt that one in, just leave it loose, put this one in, leave it loose, then locate the winch plate on top of the two cross members. Well, hopefully you can see down there, the brackets are bolted in, the winch mounting plates only resting on there now with the bolts in it loose. I'm just going to have a trial fitment of the winch, see how it sits, see how everything lines up, and then it's all got to come apart again once I know everything's okay, so I can get all the parts powder coated. Well, the winch test fit has been successful. Other than the bottom radiator hose resting on top of the winch, which I'm going to have to either protect the hose with something or zip tie it up, which I've had to do with the top radiator hose. I've had to zip tie it to the chassis. But all in all, it's quite a successful fit. I've got a modification to do to the winch plate. I want a piece taken out to the front so the rope doesn't rub on it. I've noticed it's a bit close, but all in all, I'm quite happy with that. Thing is, now I've got to take it all apart again to do one more modification, like I say, to the winch plate, and then get the parts powder coated and bolt all the hardware in for the final time before I start wiring it up.